That's not the role of the government?
The role of the government is not to be
The safety net.
the safety net.
That's why he voted.
Well,
It has been in every industrialized Western democracy.
Did Congressman Olson vote for the cut, cap, and balance bill? Yes. But it's okay to cut $1.8 trillion in funding for Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid for current beneficiaries.
Well, I'm not familiar with all of the particular numbers that you cite, but generally...
It's in the bill.
Generally, Congressman...
Killing people, putting people out of nursing homes, depriving people of medical care, we got real problems with that, okay? Right. Morally, those are terrible choices to be forcing people to make. And so we look to our representatives to make these decisions that are smart for everybody. And it needs to be moral management.
And this guy across the aisle says, the poor, they enjoy being poor. Now that's a terrible attitude.
That's callous.
Very much so.
That's callous.
My daughter's a geophysicist.
Okay.
She makes a decent salary.
Sure.
She has no problem in her taxes going up a little bit to help, her grandmother, her parents, or Social Security, the country.
Excuse me. May I submit that with the power that Grover Norquist has and has had, and with these pledges that most every Republican representative
was tax reform. We've got 240 people that have signed this thing saying no new taxes. Sure. And that is in stark contrast to what the majority...
Tax revenue.
You're supposed to pledge allegiance to the Constitution, not to Norquist,
sure.
And not pledge allegiance.
In the preamble to the Constitution, which is the reason for the Constitution, it talks about looking out after the social. All of these things are not in the Constitution. If you're looking out after the general welfare of the people of the United States, that involves anything that helps us. Jobs are not created from the top down. Demand. People on the bottom and middle class spend money when they get it, and that creates the money. I don't care how much you put up at the top of tax breaks, it's not going to create a single job because nobody's going to be buying services or...
Every rational economist says this: when you cut government spending in the throes of a real big recession, you're not going to stimulate a thing.
But if I have a debt crisis, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at what caused that, and then I'm going to try to fix it from there. I'm not going to be, all one way. Program is Social Security insurance.
It's not part of the debt crisis. Social Security is not part of the debt crisis.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Social Security program isn't going to be solvent in the long term. In the very near future.
We have 30 years
2036.
We have.
Right, and even when it gets to that point, it will pay out 75 to 80%.
Look, my view on this thing is there really is an element, and this can be harsh language, but it's an element of economic terrorism that we're being subjected to by the Republicans.
The Republican Party, their only goal is to see that Obama is not reelected, and they don't give a damn about anything else.
Is that we look at this debt crisis, and under the Reagan and under Clinton and under Bush, the debt ceiling raised about 30-some times.
Right.
Now here we got an opportunity to raise it to solve some issues, and I'm sure those reasons why they raised the debt back then was a reason to get out of some crisis.
Sure.
Now we're in a crisis. Why is it so hard to get that done now?
We had a Speaker of the House come on nationwide TV behind the President of the United States
And blast him.
and just blast him.
There's no respect in
Well,
None.
I don't think
No
the
respect at all.
I watched both. Never have we raised the debt ceiling as large as we're being asked to now.
Yeah, but not percentage-wise the lowest.
Well, yeah, you may be right. If you want to talk percentages, I don't know how to compare all the percentages, but
All the things that Bush did, it was fine. Nobody had nothing to say about what Bush did. Now that Mr. Obama is in there,
Bingo.
The Republican wants to cut him down. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Largest increase in the debt ceiling ever. That's the problem.
Yeah, it occurred from the previous regimes, really.
Previous administration.
So this regime is not only responsible for
Well, you mean you're talking the number of times somebody increases the debt ceiling? You're talking the actual quantity of debt that the president's asking for is greater than ever before in any other raising of the debt ceiling. So
You do understand it's debt we've already incurred.
We've already incurred this debt. We need to pay for it.
well, I understand
There
that.
you go.
I understand.
And we just heard Mr. Boehner last night say, dead on arrival. We're going to get a goddamn balanced budget amendment now. I mean, you talk about shifting the goalposts.
If I remember
Harry Reid is giving them everything they wanted.
If I remember right,
No revenue increases and a 1-to-1 ratio of budget cuts to the deficit increase. So.
Two things. One is that young man that was here a while ago was one of those whose father's out of work and he has no hospitalization. If they had passed Medicare for all, he'd have it, and Republicans oppose that. The other thing is, I've got 3 grandkids who do have no Medicare, no medical insurance, because the parents are out of jobs and that they can't afford it.
You're in favor of like what President Obama was talking about.
Right, exactly. So
They ask you if Olson is willing to raise the debt limit, and your answer was convoluted and embedded with, well, if he gets a constitutional amendment. My question is he willing to compromise? Yes or no? No convoluted answers, yes or no?
That you're in favor of what President Obama talked about in his speech last night, which is the balance. Depends on what you mean by compromise.
That's not,
Like John Boehner said.
It's no, we know.
No.
What does is mean, right?
No.
yeah, it's kind of like what
You know,
Okay.
Linda.
the answer is no. Well, that's, you can't tell me.
Compromise isn't a compromise is not a compromise when the president does all the negotiating and forces it on the Republicans.
The gentleman that said a while ago that they're willing to hold the nation hostage.
Well, I think it's unfortunate.
When Republicans ran, they ran on creating jobs, and I haven't seen one jobs bill in Congress.
You say the American people want to raise revenue. We'll see if that's true in the next election.
And so when are we going to get back to the business of actually representing people and not lobbyists?
Is Pete Olson for the debt, raising the debt ceiling or not?
So